Greetings, family. I like to do these YouTube videos so that I can introduce myself to you. You know me as Frank 26 somewhere else. And I really did not want to bring that to my YouTube Facebook. But there have been a lot that have requested and said, look, you're preparing Facebook for, I'm sorry, forgive me. You're preparing YouTube. I apologize, YouTube, by the way. You're preparing YouTube to communicate, correct? I said, yes. To go live, right? I said, yes. You might as well use it to tell us your opinion about certain questions on this subject. And the subject is about the Iraqi dinar. First of all, this is all in my opinion. I have no crystal ball. I only have logic. I only have what the Central Bank of Iraq says and what the IMF says because they're under the guidance of the IMF. The IMF said, look, we'll take you to the international theater. We'll introduce you back to the international community, but you got to do this, this, and this, and this. And they did this, and this. Very impressive. And they signed something, an agreement. That was about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I can't remember. It's called a standby agreement, an SBA. And what it is like the IMF, who tells all the central banks in the world what to do, with their currency, with their banking structure. If they have to redenominate, increase, decrease the value of their currency, whatever it is, the IMF regulates them and makes sure that they follow international standards. Don't want anybody taking advantage of another country. Do we, China? So the IMF made a deal. They said, look, we're going to sign this standby agreement with you, and that means that you're going to give us permission to guide you back into the international theater, right? Right. Iraq said right. The same thing that happened back in 2003 when we went in there with the coalition force, signed this agreement. What is it? SOFA? What's that? Well, don't. It's a form of a Marshall Plan is what it boils down to. We'll retake your country, your infrastructure, everything, your banking, your military, your hospitalization, everything. We'll rebuild you. I mean, it's not going to be for free. They did it with Kuwait. They've done it with many countries. Who's they? The United States of America. Every 10 years, our country invests in another country. It mirror images the ebb and flow of our stock market. Although our stock market has been derailed by political reasons, but being brought back strongly by this here, what's his name, Donald Trump. Impressive moves. So anyways, the IMF, who tells them, exactly what they have to do, they said, just like you allowed the United States to guide you back under their guidance, let us, the IMF, guide you back under our guidance into the international community. With modern equipment, not that Flintstone chalkboard you used to use for your Iraqi stock exchange. Yeah, no, Iraq is not your father's country anymore. It's the country of the next generation. Every war produces tragedy, and it leaves behind the scared, the lost, the fragile, the remnants of the people of that country, and they're usually about 12 to 15 years old. This is no longer the old Iraq. So it was 2 weeks ago, yeah, that the Central Bank of Iraq, who's been following the IMF's instructions, they met with these here private banks, money exchangers, all kinds of financial institutions, that are set up to deal with a customer in the banking structure. And they met with them and they said, this is what we're doing. And we would like for you banks to represent us around the world. Now, why? If the standby agreement was to bring Iraq back into the international community, and a few weeks ago it expired, and it was not re-signed for the first time, signed this year or last year, the year before that. Well, it seems to me that the IMF has completed their job with the central bank. So the central bank meets with these private banks and they say, look, we need for you to mirror exactly the way we are now. And this is the way we are, by the way. You see, you read that? Okay, there you go. Got the license? Yep. Got certified? Yep. Did you get the specimens? Yep. Did you get that big giant counting machine? Yep. Everybody thinks that the big giant counting machines that all these private banks got, and all the banks like Rashid Trade Bank, Hadim Bank, yeah, it's for the 3 zeros that are going to be coming in. The citizens, Edema Beef, he owns a beef market in the heart of Baghdad, and he's got his bag of 3 zeros, and he takes them to the bank one morning, and it turns out the bank says, okay, here's your change, your money for your business activities today, but we have a change in the exchange rate, and I'm going to give you these new small category notes. So the transaction will occur that way because they've been telling the citizens that this is coming. I mean, this is not my opinion. This is what my friends over there tell me. I don't know the date. I don't know when they're going to do it. Nobody does. Only a handful of people. But I'll tell you what. If this whole scenario was all of the articles that have come out lately from the IMF and the CBI, if this scenario was presented in a court of law, I think the judge would say, why are you wasting my time? Of course the country's reinstating their currency. Get out of here, you're wasting my time. But we're not wasting our time, are we? Because we're studying this, and that's what it requires, not a guessing game. This is a speculation investment. There's no date. There's nothing solid. Might as well walk on thin ice. But you are, aren't you? Because you're missing a lot of information, a lot of variables, a lot of things that don't make sense. How is it that the CBI can be acting like they're Article 8? I mean, they just walking around, 2% compliance, check. How's your inflation? Check. You couldn't have done these things without the tools of Article 8. There's no way. And then we read the article where the IMF says, yeah, we use the tools of Article 8 to bring them back into the international standards. And the CBI meets with the private banks a couple of weeks ago. You got everything set? Got everything set. So these really big machines and everything else is all set. So then last week, the CBI meets with the IMF. Kind of like to say, hey, all these banks, they're following the instructions that you gave us. Okay, good. But the meeting was on the 19th of this year, July. And this report that comes out once a year, I think it might be biannual, but at least once a year. The IMF report that came out had every country listed. Okay, this is what we did. This is what we talked about. La 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 la. Now, going into that meeting, we had the article where it said that one of the topics was about their currency and their exchange rate. Okay. Okay. What about it? Well, they didn't tell us. Now, that's kind of clever. That's kind of clever. I don't know if they did it on purpose, if it was a mistake. Out of dozens and dozens of countries that they give the report on, they left out the Iraq report. I would pray, I would hope that inside of it is maybe the evidence that they are about to announce, to admit that they are Article 8, because that would cure me of my insanity. I'm going crazy trying to figure out how is it that you can walk and talk like Article 8 and yet not announce it? How is it that the Iraqi Stock Exchange can be right now being courted by NASDAQ? And NASDAQ says, we welcome the Iraqi Stock Exchange under international standards. What? So please, Iraq, make an announcement. It won't be the IMF. It's not their prerogative. So, what happens today? I get a lot of phone calls. Ring-a-ding-ding, ring-a-ding-ding. Hello, this is Frank. How can I help you? Frank, did you see they got a new governor of the Central Bank of Iraq? They've had it. What? Again, this whole thing is just in my opinion. I don't mean to come across cocky or, rude. In my opinion, they had it. Just like they had those 4 missing ministers. How is it that they made amendments to their constitution with 4 missing members of the cabinet, No, like I told you 2 months ago, they're there. They're protecting them. From corruption. That's the problem with Parliament. They're just representatives of certain regions. God bless them. I mean, they may have a third, fourth, fifth grade education. Parliament, that's it. Well, what's more important is the cabinet. That's what's more important. In fact, Parliament, thank goodness, is going away for the whole month of August on vacation. I swear they have more vacations than I have gray hair. So did the CBI come up with a new governor? Look, I hope you don't mind. I hope you have time. Let me see if I can find it for you, the article itself. Because the article, I gave it to my Delta. When you saw a phone call come in the last recording. And we talked after that call. And here's what it says. The appointment of a new governor of the Central Bank of Iraq and a head leader of the Financial Control Bureau cabinet decided in its first meeting on Tuesday. Today's Thursday, family. The appointment of a new governor of the Central Bank of Iraq, according to a document of the Secretary. It goes on. In other words, according to a memo that we turned in about 3 weeks ago, I would say. And it turns out that we now wish to make an announcement that the appointment, not like, hey, you got an appointment at 3 o'clock, but the assignment of the appointment of a new governor of the Central Bank and the head of the Financial Control Bureau, says the cabinet. Yeah, you see, the cabinet is more important than Parliament. And cabinet, I'm paying attention to because they told us about 3 weeks ago, this is the guy we want. Who is it? Alawi. Look at your notes. Is exactly what we said then. No, we don't have a crystal ball. We have articles. And we are blessed to have our friend Delta, who is able to, he speaks Chaldean, and he knows the rudimentary level of the etymology of all the words, colloquialism that is used out there in the Middle East. When he read that article, that's when we realized, oh my, they have a new governor. Yeah, we've known that. Oh my, they've admitted it. In the same manner that, oh my, they're using Article 8. Oh my, I believe they're about to admit it. There's a lot I suppose I could say and share in my opinion. But allow me to finish by saying that my teams, when I say teams, again, I don't mean to be silly or anything like that, but my teams consist of people that are in the right places. They're bank people, they're business people, they're mature people. They're my brothers in Christ, they're my friends. We don't lie to each other. So, I thought I would put this little video together to give you the answer. Frank, what's your opinion? Do you think that they really do have a governor of the Central Bank of Iraq? They've had it. They just decided to tell you about it, in my opinion. And in the same manner, I strongly believe that they have put themselves in all of the international standard requirements that the IMF demanded that they go under, and they're alive. Yeah, they're live. And if they're live, we just got to push the button. It says, come on in, and we're open for business. It's alive. Y'all take care. Maybe I'll do another video. Ask me another question. I'll be glad to help you out. Aloha. Ahui ho.